Gianni Storm.
Shout out to my best friend once again. I'm going to be visiting her today, actually, tonight.
In
She's in
Kentucky?
town visiting.
Oh,
So.
she's in town.
No, she's from Nevada. She lives in Nevada, but she's visiting in Atlanta, so I'm
So you
here
got
tonight.
a couple
Shout out
of
to you.
best friends.
I do. I only have two best friends.
Two best friends.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, two really close friends, two really close girls. Yeah.
All right, Robbie.
My shout out is going out to Jean Bailey of Omaha. I found her when I was just scouring for news. So 4 times a week, this 102-year-old lady leads her neighbors at Elk Ridge Village, a senior living community, in everything from arm stretches to leg raises. She's been running fitness classes for 15 years.
Wow.
This lady's my hero.
Nice
Jean
shout.
Bailey.
All right. And
Epic.
my shout out goes to my niece Adrienne. It's her birthday today. Love you. Sorry I didn't make it to your birthday party yesterday. I wasn't feeling good, but happy birthday. Happy birthday. And that is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, simply had some laughs with us. It was a lot of fun today. We will be back recording our podcast next week live, as always, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The following week, we will have Mayor Pro Tem of College Park joining our show, Denise Mitchell. So feel free to join us then. Ask her a bunch of questions like you did with Kate Kennedy today. Don't forget to check out our video clips. Subscribe to us on YouTube using TLSShow.com. And look for our official podcast episodes on Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And our winner for the final thought of the day, Robbie Rock. Close us out.
All right. So I've had this quote in the barrel since February from Reverend Jesse Jackson. Never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up. Love that quote.
I like that. I like that. Great quote.
Thank you, Rob.
Great quote, Rob.
Love.
Great quote.
We love that.
So thank you, Robbie Rock, Gianni. Thank you, Kate Kennedy, for joining us, Councilmember Kate Kennedy. But most importantly, we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. Have a great one, everyone. Have a good night. See you next week.